Well, hey there, idiots. Welcome back to Observe. Now, I've got to level with you. We've been doing a lot of true crime content, which is plenty okay with me. However, it has taken a little bit of an emotional and mental toll on me personally. Spending so many days and so many hours a week poring over serial killers is, not shockingly, a little exhausting. So I'm taking just a touch of a break from true crime. Not always, just for now. It will be coming back. Right now, what I'm going to be doing is starting a brand new series that I hope goes well here on the channel called The Body Language Evolution of fill in the blank. So basically what this premise is that I'm going to go ahead and look at various pop culture icons, be them social media influencers, celebrities, athletes, so on and so forth, and talk about how their body language has progressed on screen over time, starting from their very earliest video that I can find to their most recent one that I can find. It should be fun. We should hopefully learn some things, have some good laughs, and just all around have a little bit more of a lighthearted time. The purpose of this is to more or less bring maybe a little bit more joy into people's lives, especially during a time when there's a lot of reasons to not be very happy. So I hope deeply that these work. If they do, there will be many of these. Please let me know if you enjoy them. Share them around to the creators or celebrities or whoever that I mention in the videos, because maybe they'll see them and that could be fun for them as well. But without further ado, today's video is going to be the body language evolution of James Charles. Now, frankly, most of you probably know exactly who James Charles is, but for the few of you who do not know, he is a 21-year-old beauty influencer who is arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, most well-known beauty influencer on YouTube at this moment. And he had another channel earlier on, way back in 2011 when he was a much younger person, and we will be starting with his very first video ever uploaded to YouTube on that channel, and then progressing through his career. I hope you enjoy these. I'm very excited for them, but that is frankly enough said. Let's go ahead and look at the body language.
Good afternoon, America. Sierra Balin here. Happy Halloween to all my fellow Americans and happy Day of the Dead or whatever to all my Mexican homies out there. I just want to say I hope you all have a wonderful night and get lots and lots of candy, but don't eat too much, kitties, or you'll all be fat, which is a sin. Also, there will be many kids roaming the streets tonight, so please do me a favor and don't get run over. That will be...
What a delightful start. So this is back in 2011, right? And there are some obvious differences from James then to James now. I feel like now he's much more confident and fulfilled, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about young James here for just a second. He's obviously doing an impersonation of another person, so his body language is gonna be different. But things that I'm noticing right off the bat that I was surprised with to begin with is that he doesn't seem as uncomfortable on camera as many people seem to be. So what you would expect to see in somebody who's brand new into speaking in front of a camera is a lot of stilted body language, a lot of misalignment. It comes across to the average viewer as just terrible acting, and that's because that is what it is, but this is the reason why. However, if you go back through and look at it, it's very active. The body language that he's displaying is very energized, to say the very least. He's got a lot of shrugs in there of uncertainty, some intentional facial expressions, and he's projecting quite well, which is shocking, but it kinda comes across as forced, which is understandable. He's doing not only an impersonation, but he's also forcing a certain energy in his videos that might not really be in his normal nonverbal repertoire. This is common to see in people who want to be liked by a certain people group, but aren't sure how to do it. I myself have been guilty of it in the past, and I try not to do that so much now because it's not me, and it can kind of come across as disingenuous. So where we can hear some of these odd vocal patterns, that's not his normal talking tone, that's him doing the impersonation. However, it's just a really fun first step into this whole realm that we can walk into here of seeing these celebrities well before they really knew what they were doing on camera, and why their body language just seems a little bit, well, odd to those of us who don't really understand why it seems odd. And so looking through all this, there's nothing really notable on this, but it is at very least very fun to look at. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit. This is going to be the first video on his actual James Charles channel, the very first makeup look that he did. We're only going to be doing the little intro parts of these because they're more fun and lighthearted and less about the makeup and more about the person. Let's just go ahead and move right on into that.
Hi guys, my name is James. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a 16-year-old makeup artist from New York and I run the Instagram page J Charles Beauty.
Okay, right off the bat, obviously a different look for James himself, different hairstyle, he's got some makeup on. What you can notice right away is that he's a little bit more self-conscious. He's more subdued, and this is something more that I expected. And the reason for that is when you're a kid, you don't really have inhibitions about yourself. You could just kind of fling yourself in directions and not really care. As you get older, more peer pressure starts to weigh in and you become to feel more self-conscious about how you present yourself. And that's happening here for James, and you could see that because he's not moving, he's not gesturing, he's a lot more subdued, don't get me wrong. He's still very relaxed on camera, which is fantastic to see, and that's a sign of a good natural performer, but he's not as dynamic as he was earlier. So where before it was very, very forced feeling when he was a young child, working to do this impersonation of somebody, it felt very forced. Now he's trying to kind of hash out what his nonverbal baseline on camera is going to present itself as himself, rather than some image. And as you continue to work on camera, this will actually become more and more fluid, and people will see heights of very energetic spikes and some lowers as they continue to progress mentally themselves. So where we're seeing this is signs of insecurity from James. He's very, very small in the frame. He's not doing a lot of gestures, but his face is overall relaxed and he has a lot of smiles in there, and that's all really good news. Let's keep watching it though.
Lately, literally 150% of my comments have been, "You need to make a YouTube channel, you need to make a tutorial on this look." So here I am on YouTube in front of my camera with my lights, with a whole lot of makeup in front of me, making a tutorial. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's about damn time. Today I did this.
Okay, so once again we could see some of these patterns on his face, these expressional patterns that we kind of can see in some of the later videos, but they're a little bit more forced. He's not feeling as natural, and you watching this, you can pick up on this and feel this. This is part of his uncomfortableness with talking to a camera. It's a very different thing. For those of you who haven't tried it, talking to a camera, while it can seem easy presented by other people, can be an absolute nightmare. So when he's doing this, he's still feeling that self-consciousness that comes in when you're talking to a camera at first. It presents in his subdued, small-framed body language.
Blue, brown, and green trio chrome look. I'm gonna call it Serpent, and if you guys want to see how to recreate this makeup look, make sure to keep on watching.
Alright, so he's doing a lot of head shakes in there, which can be tied to negative emotions, but he's not really saying anything that's a yes or a no, so it's not a nonverbal misalignment. He's just shaking his head, and some people, this is in their normal nonverbal repertoire, is to just shake their head, and is not necessarily tied to the emotive state that they're feeling, but it is a movement that we can take note of. And then he's doing some little shrugs in here and whatnot, and those can be stylized shrugs to maybe appear more attractive or more cutesy in a video, but it could also be a sign of his actual just emotional insecurity during this very odd, stilted moment for him of his first YouTube upload that's really him being him.
Also, if you like this tutorial, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button down below and subscribe if you haven't already for more tutorials coming soon.
Very excellent usage of some illustrators with his hands, thumbs up and down below. These are all signs of what he has potential for, and he will really develop his talking with his hand side of things on camera here soon, and we'll see that in a second. But seeing that activity is just good to see. So it's a little bit more intentional here. It's a thumbs up and down below kind of thing, and that's very rehearsed, but as time goes on, you'll be able to really see him be able to embrace his hands as part of his communication as time goes on and he becomes more comfortable on camera. We're gonna fast forward a little bit more. This is about the halfway point between his first video, his last video, so it's right smack there in the middle, and we'll just go ahead and kind of see what happens with this.
Hi sisters, James Charles here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So Halloween is coming up literally in a few days now and I am...
Wow, already so much of a difference from that earlier video. He's using a lot more gestures with his hands and it almost comes across as a little too much, and this is one of those times that I was saying that people will have these nonverbal spikes in their presentation to camera that come across as maybe a little bit more energized than usual. And this was a fairly large trend on YouTube for a bit, is that people had to be ultra high energy, over the top, very broad gestures, extreme expressions, lots of emotions, because they felt that that was the most engaging for people, which at the time it kind of was. As YouTube has progressed, and especially as the content creators themselves have progressed, that's become less and less so. So we could see here that James is really just amping up the energy for this, but it's coming across a little bit more naturally than when he was much, much younger back in 2011. So here in 2018, where he's at, he's a little bit older, he's a little bit more comfortable with himself. He's been creating videos for a hot minute now, so he's a little bit more comfortable presenting to camera, but he's still forcing this energy just a little bit. It comes across as a little bit over the top, but let's keep watching this part of the video.
So beyond excited. Halloween by far is my favorite time of the entire year, but I've been working on a lot of different projects behind the scenes this past month and I have not had any time to do a single Halloween look or tutorial and I am very sad about it. I do have a...
This is an intentional move. So subconsciously, this kind of move or this kind of move can indicate stress or shame. So when he's doing this here, it is still reflecting the stress that he could be feeling in relation to what he's talking about. So this is an example of James being able to use his body language consciously to be able to communicate better to camera, keep people engaged. This is an excellent sign of somebody who has seen themselves on camera, has been able to observe where their faults are and improve on those faults from there to be able to make themselves appear and come across as more genuine to the people viewing. This is an excellent example of a creator who is making sure that he improves for the people that he is talking to or performing for.
Few things up my sleeve for the next few days of Halloween time, but for today's video, I thought I would do something truly iconic, perfect for sister spooky season, something that I have wanted to do literally since I was a little kid and for some reason never gotten around to doing, playing with a Ouija board. Oh my gosh.
All right, you could tell this has been rehearsed. He's very, very over the top with his body language, which is totally okay. It's much more entertaining to watch than somebody who's just like, hello, welcome to my channel. We're gonna do some fun things today. I hope you have a good time. Nobody's gonna watch that. I wouldn't even be surprised if right now you just clicked away now because you were about to yawn out of boredom. But he's not allowing himself to do that. He's constantly active. He is smiling a lot. These are all nonverbal tactics that help you, the audience, feel more in sync with him. You see him being dynamic, you see him being happy, and it's easier to like somebody who is dynamic and happy than somebody who is still sitting here scared. So you can see a little bit of James Charles's attitude and personality come out here, and it's good to see.
Wow, it's almost like the spirits are ready for me to play. So as you can see, I have a brand new Ouija board right here, and I am so beyond ready to contact the sister spirits. My mind is open. I'm gonna set some candles and really get in the mood.
You can see again, he's using intentional illustrators with his hands. He's aware of what his body language is doing, and he's able to implement this intentional body language that he's using more and more smoothly. And this is, like I said, just a sign of a practiced performer. He's understanding how to perform more seamlessly for people that are watching. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ouija board and some of the mentalism and psychic techniques that are used on that by the charlatan groups in a little bit, just because that's something that I have done personal study on for a fair bit of time in my past and have covered on this channel before, and I would like to get back into that as well, but we'll talk about that in a second.
And for today's video, you know, on this channel, we always like to set the bar higher, so I figured, why not try to have a Ouija board pick my makeup? Since I've never played with the Ouija board before, and the last thing that I want to do is anger the sister spirits, because that sounds not fun. Kind of fun, not gonna lie, but probably not good for me. I thought I would read.
So a little bit of James's nonverbal baseline in his normal energy slipped through when he was saying, maybe kind of fun, not gonna lie. That subdued, more relaxed look that he had there is due to the fact that it was more of a genuine portion of what he was saying than the rest of it, which was more performance-based. So during that little time, we could expect to see that sort of pattern develop more in his more recent videos where he is even more practiced and has had a lot more time to dedicate towards his craft. So let's see if that happens here in a bit.
The directions so I don't die. Ouija board. The quest begins. Dim the lights. Oh. Well, we're already failing step 1. This is a makeup tutorial, so hopefully the spirits love some good beauty lighting. As it glides across the board, the Ouija planchette will reveal hidden messages. Ouija, are you there? Place 2 fingers lightly on the planchette. Oh god, here we go, okay. I just got my nails done. Hopefully the spirits like them. Speak your seance to contact the spirits.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the actual spiritual side of the Ouija board, and this isn't that kind of discussion. However, there is a group of people that are fakers. They are fake psychics or mentalists that will use gimmicks like the Ouija board to be able to sell the idea of supernatural things. So the dimming of the lights is important in that aspect because it helps set an atmosphere. And with Ouija boards specifically, atmosphere and feeling of the experience is very, very important. You have to sell that experience to somebody who's coming in for a Ouija reading or just the Ouija board experience itself. It has to be part of it. If you don't have all of it, then oftentimes it will fail. And I won't unpack all of that. If you would like to really unpack that, I'd suggest you go and check out Darren Brown. He is a mentalist who has gone a long ways to be able to show how certain items like the Ouija board and other psychic items work. So if you would like to be able to do that, I'd suggest you search him on YouTube. Fantastic mentalist, very fun guy. Most people like him when they watch him. Let's keep watching James though.
Okay. Let the bravest among you ask the first question. Give Ouija enough time to respond. Remember, spirits can't be rushed. So true. That makes 2 of us. Concentrate deeply. If the planchette doesn't move, ask another question and focus. Always speak slowly and clearly. Oh. It's gonna be a problem. Always speak slowly and clearly, just as friendly.
James knows where he's at. He knows who he is, and that's good. He knows that he talks fast, and he might not always enunciate perfectly clearly. That being said, I have noticed that he is pretty good at his enunciation. You never really lose track of what he's saying, and he could be editing out parts where he's not speaking very clearly. But as far as his verbal patterns go, he's quite good at alliteration and enunciation. So good job on his side of things, but you can see that he's more relaxed, he's having a good time, and that conveys over to the audience as well. As you view it, it just feels like things are going well.
Just as friendly spirits prefer. Oh my god, if I speak at my normal speed, am I gonna contact a demon? And don't forget to say goodbye when you're done. My mind is open, I think I know what to do. I'm ready to contact the spirits. Hopefully they're sister spirits and they're kind and nice and they want to talk about makeup, so here we go.
Okay, so he's sitting pretty small in the frame there. He might be feeling a little uncomfortable with it. I'm not sure what James's beliefs are. I don't know if he believes in the supernatural or if he doesn't, but he is sitting much smaller in the frame. He's not gesturing with his hands during this area, and that would indicate to me as a nonverbal analyst that he's feeling a little less secure about that specific little portion because he's referring to something that could potentially be very dangerous. And so he's trying to treat it as lighthearted as he can, and the setting isn't right, which in the optimal setting, 1, lights would be dim. 2, the board wouldn't necessarily be on a music stand, it would probably be elsewhere. But then 3, this mindset that they built with the instructions of it being like, okay, so the most brave of you have to do this. So if you're scared, that's very genuine, you should be scared kind of thing. It's really amping up the stakes of the process itself. And this helps sell the Ouija board to people who really want the experience of it. If you feel like it's scary, you're gonna experience something that's more scary than if you were just treating it kind of as a joke. So James has a little bit of insecurity pop in with his smaller frame and subdued body language. It's a negative spike in his normally very active baseline, but it's still all just good fun.
I'd like to summon one of the spirits of my fellow beauty gurus' careers who have died recently. Rest in peace. Sisters.
So you can see some nonverbal misalignment. It's not flowing fully. He is acting this part up a fair bit, so that's where you see him sit, and then he takes a breath, and then he's moving. It's all kind of just disjointed would be an easy way to say it. And that's just a sign of him trying to act in a certain realm that he's not necessarily used to acting on. A lot of people who are on YouTube are used to acting specifically happy and energized. As soon as that's challenged, you really get to see this nonverbal misalignment, awkward body language portion of things come into play. And that just shows up a little bit here as James is trying to invoke a serious emotion that he's not used to acting as, rather than the fun, happy-go-lucky, outgoing emotion that he usually is acting with.
Spirits, are you there? Show yourself if you dare. I need to be #1 and get my views up. So please come help me pick my makeup.
He's intentionally making a rhyme for this. He's having a good time with it, making eye contact with the camera. These are all nonverbal things that he can do to make it feel like you are on part of an inside joke. This is a fantastic thing. Whenever a creator looks at the camera, it makes you feel included as part of the audience who's watching. It makes you feel like, oh, I saw a little moment here. This is actually used heavily in The Office by Jim. He will make those consistent looks to the camera, and it just makes you feel included as if you're part of a little inside joke that he knows that nobody else is part of. It's a very personal touch that James is adding to this area here. He's maintaining this contact with the audience by looking at the camera, but his nonverbal communication hasn't changed too much. During stress like this, it's rare that a person will present themselves consistently in the same stress pattern. So his stress pattern has stayed the same. He's taking the same breaths, he has the same tone, and he has the same movements throughout the entirety of the video. That can look good, but it is also true that emotions change as they develop, and they change the way they display as they develop. So we can rest assured that there's nothing genuine about his stress here.
Are there any spirits here with me today?
All right, one of the things that I'm going to point out here, because this is the most common sign of a person who's not comfortable acting in a certain emotion, is look at their eyes and eyebrows. Their eyes and eyebrows are going to be the hardest things for them to be able to convey to, because they feel almost a little silly acting in a certain way. So if you really want to sell your acting non-verbally, make sure you include your eyes and eyebrows in your expressions that you're going for, regardless of how silly you might feel doing it. People will oftentimes leave their eyes and eyebrows out of it, despite being aware of how important they are. Everybody says the eyes are the window to the soul, but nobody really focuses on that when they're acting in an area that they're not comfortable acting in. The eyes and eyebrows are super important. So when we see him do this little look away here, his eyes and eyebrows are blank. There's nothing going on. There's no stress. There's nothing. And that's because he's feeling a little self-conscious about what he's doing, and it's presenting non-verbally.
Hello? Okay, let me try it again. Are there any sister spirits in me here today? Oh my god. I'm not moving it. Okay.
Forced body language, forced emotion. You could tell nothing is changing in his body during this time. It's the same pattern all the way through. It comes across as forced to us. He is moving it 100%. That's him moving it there. That's obvious, but it's all part of the show, and it's all part of the fun.
Hey, sister. Okay, Spirit, I'm filming a video today. I know you're gone, but my channel's still alive and doing well. Do you think that you could help me maybe do my makeup for this video today? Okay, rude.
Okay. So that wraps up 2018 James. You can see his body language is much more over the top. It's a little stilted here and there as he's trying to adjust to different emotions and portraying them well, but it's still a good time, right? You watch it, and you don't watch it for the seriousness of the Ouija read. You watch it because it's just one of your creators that you enjoy watching, and if he's having a good time, you might as well have a good time. So that's kind of the takeout from that little segment there, is that even though it's still stilted, it's just having fun. Let's go ahead and move up to 2021, James's most recent video at this point, besides a music video, which doesn't really apply at all. So this was his most recent video at the time of this upload that I could get out to you. We'll see how far his body language has come from the 2011 James to a decade later of creating content and really learning who he is on camera. So let's see. I would expect more subdued body language from the last one and less choppy. It should all flow a lot more smoothly as he's had years to practice his presentations.
Burr.
I had to say that. Should be less forced. Right off the bat, he's going in with a very over-the-top, funny kind of joke thing about how cold it is in the office. And you can see, you can just feel it as the audience. You can see it in his nonverbal communication. It's obviously not as cold as he's presenting it to be, but it is done in jest, and he shows that. He shows that it's in part a jest. It's just a good time now. You could see that James has really settled into his nonverbal pattern, and he's being able to display some of these nonverbal techniques, and it doesn't come across as super stilted or robotic or disjointed, and that's just a good sign of a good creator.
Sisters. I feel like if I was like shivering. Hi sisters, James Charles here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, this is enough acting for this.
You can see it. He's gesturing with his hands real big and goes into a big illustrative gesture, and he knows that he's acting. You could see that he's acting, and he just says that he's acting, and it's all in good fun.
As you guys can see, I am in my winter attire today. I'm in a full turtleneck, a gorgeous little off-white scarf, a puffy jacket, and some earmuffs because it is chilly my willy.
So his illustrators with his hands have increased dramatically. Now, instead of it just being normal talking kind of things that you do with your hands, he's talking about the puffiness of his jacket. You can tell it's cold in here. My earmuffs, they're all very intentional illustrators, but they're not coming across as forced anymore. They're synchronized, and that's just showing that he has grown to be comfortable in front of the camera rather than being self-conscious about how he's presenting himself. He knows what he wants to present, and better yet, he knows how to present it. So to us, the audience, he has now reached a point to where he's comfortable being who he wants to be in front of the camera. And that's important to see in a creator. It's awesome to be able to see him do that. Let's keep watching him do that right now.
Down in the sister studio, and we're about to film a Frozen makeup video. A few months ago, I saw Sylvia Gani and my good friend Laura Lee do a Frozen makeup challenge, and I'm not talking about the iconic Disney movie, Let It Go. I'm talking about freezing my makeup routine. Basically, I'm gonna take every single makeup product.
So his energy is still quite high. Honestly, his energy is very high, and that is kind of interesting to see. I would have expected by this point for it to subdue a bit, but it looks like it's actually pretty darn high. So his energy is matching the 2018 energy that he had, but it's coming across as just more smooth, less forced, more fun. He's more relaxed, he's more comfortable, but he's maintained that energy.
Tool, brush, blender, you name it, that is part of my makeup routine, and put it in the freezer overnight and let it completely freeze.
All right, still using a lot of those illustrators. He's gesturing with his hands, and it's very energetic, but that's just how James functions. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary in this video. He's just being him as he portrays himself on his channel.
And tomorrow morning, I'm going to take them out one by one and attempt to do my full face of makeup using ice cold frozen products.
All right. And that's the little tiny blip of that part. I'm sorry that we spent so much time on 2018. There was just a lot of fun, interesting stuff with the Ouija board and so on and so forth. But that is the body language evolution of James Charles from 2011 all the way to 2021. A decade of time has passed, and you can absolutely see James develop and hone his craft of being a content creator for you over the years, and he's gotten so much better over the years. I hope that you would agree with that. You can see that he's put time and effort into being himself on camera, and that comes across quite clearly. I hope you appreciated this video. If you did like this video, please hit the like button and do share it on the social medias. I would love to be able to see James see this style of video. I know that it's fun for creators who have been making content like this to see something about themselves that's a little different. And right now, nobody's doing this series, so maybe James might enjoy seeing this. So if you know James or you have the ability to get this video to him, have at it. Have at it. I hope that he sees it, and I hope that it brings him a little bit of happiness in his day. I hope that it brought you some happiness as well, maybe a little bit of education, but at least a lot of fun watching somebody learn how to be a better body language communicator. But that is all that I'm gonna end up doing for this little episode. There are so many creators out there. There are so many people that I can do this on. So if you have somebody that you would like me to go back through the annals of time and find them and talk about their body language, let me know in the comments below. The number one suggestion will be entered into a poll, and there will be multiple choices, and then we can have that final vote. But this has potential to be an excellent, fun series on the channel, and I would just love to be able to see it develop from there. So, like I said, hit the like button, hit subscribe, do all those things that you're supposed to normally do according to every other YouTube content creator out there. I guess I support that as well, or don't. I mean, it's really up to you. But, without further ado, that's all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome, as you always are. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.